The construction detours you about 10 miles down gravel. Not a good way to start the day. Well, it matches the lake. Pretty sloppy and nasty. It looks green and never been here. I heard there's big fish out here. That's all I know. We're in north central Minnesota, I'd call it. There's a lot of different style lakes. We have deep clear lakes, we have smallmouth lakes. We have apparently lakes like this. We're kind of like a farm lake, I'd call it. Oh, I don't got enough water to get it off.
You want me to hop in and back you? If you don't mind. Yeah, no problem.
Where I fish down home, it's a lot of lakes like this, so I feel like we should be able to break this down pretty quick. If there are big fish in here, I think we should be able to find a few of them. It's been a long time since I've been to a lake that didn't have 1 foot contours, so we're gonna have to rely pretty heavily on our side imaging, and which is fine, because typically on a lake like this, it's not mapped out. You probably don't see a whole lot of pressure out here, I would imagine. Probably start by graphing and just go right to the obvious stuff, graph around, see if we got any rock or anything out here. Probably go from there, I guess. I'm guessing probably graph that, zip down there, graph that. Maybe that looks like that might have some potential there. Around here on this little rounding point there, but I mean, almost guarantee there's gonna be rock there. Almost guarantee it. We don't have any deep grass the way it looks. We're gonna try to fish offshore at first. So that's where I would anticipate some of the big ones to be. So we're looking for any hard spots. Maybe we'll get lucky and find a boat lift or sunken or something like that. So I'm thinking 12 foot and less is what I'm thinking. First thing that pops in my mind. So even though we only have 5 foot contours, I could highlight 10 foot and less, which is already highlighted green from other lake I was just fishing. But it breaks down, cuts out a lot of the lake, so you don't have to waste a whole lot of time. You can attack it somewhat fast and efficiently. It don't take much to hold a bass. I mean, basically you're looking for anything offshore. If that's your goal, if you want to fish offshore, whether it's old bluegill beds, a hard spot, a vein of rocks, an isolated boulder, like a lot of your homework is done right here behind the steering wheel. That's where you find most of your fish if you're looking for offshore fish. I don't go just straight down the bank. I see a lot of guys do that, which is fine, I'm looking for small little details, so I'll actually zigzag all the way down the break, back and forth, so that way I don't miss anything. Because there could be a vein of rock off the bank and 4 foot of water that you might miss if you're out here in this 8 to 9 foot, so it's hard to really see. Back there when we first started graphing, it was real muddy bottom. Now we kind of got into a hard bottom area here. There could be a vein of rock anywhere on this hard bottom or an isolated boulder, and that's a lot of times that's where some of your biggest fish live. And it's all, like I said, it's all dependent on the fishery I'm on. So I had it on 86, which is probably a little far, honestly. Like if I go to Mille Lacs Lake, where I'm looking for boulders the size of Volkswagens, I'm gonna kick it out to 150 on each side, because I'm not looking for detail. So here, we're fishing a small body of water, dirty body of water. I wanna see detail. So I'm gonna run at 75. If this is a tournament scenario where I'm practicing, I'm gonna run it tighter, like 65, and I'm gonna zigzag back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Another little trick too, like let's talk about Mille Lacs. If you wanna see really far out, you can put it on 455 kilohertz, and you can kick it out to like 200. Touch that, I can go to 455 or 800 or mega, and it's just as easy as that. And you can see boulders, 200 feet either side of your boat. And when you change your kilohertz settings, really dial it in. So now switch it to 455, see our image kind of changed, and then you can mess with your sensitivity and really dial in your picture that way. So that's another tip too, is there's no one setting fits everything. Always play with your settings to the body of water that you're on. I see a lot of guys graph too fast, in my opinion. I put it in gear, I just let the boat idle, that's all I'm doing. 3 miles an hour, let's let the boat idle. You're gonna get the best picture that you can possibly get that way. My chart speed's on 7, sometimes it's on 6, it all depends. The best way to dial in your settings for me is, I got a couple lakes back home where we got like sunken tires and stuff like that. Well, you know what a tire looks like, it's supposed to be perfectly round. So I can idle past that tire. If it's stretched out, I know my chart speed's too fast. If it's squished, I know my chart speed is too slow. So there's a perfect medium you got to find there. It's nice to put these Solixes I can rewind. We're just coming up out of this big mud basin here, and only main lake point in the lake really. And it don't look like a whole lot, but this, to me, looks beautiful. Got some nice rock here. This touch screen's really nice too. But yeah, so we've all mud basin all around us, and we've got this hard bottom point here. It's all sand, and up on the very top on the high spot, we have this isolated rock here. And it's not even a vein, it's just a clump of rock there. But if I was a betting man, there's gonna be some bass on that. Like that. That in particular, right there. That looks really good to me. That's probably gonna be the best part of it. Been graphing straight for about an hour. I'm still graphing. When we first got here, I thought right away, okay, we're not gonna have grass any deeper than 3 foot. Well, the more I graph, the more I'm seeing stuff like this. You know, and stuff like this can hold fish. I'm kind of more gonna target the hard bottom, the rock, just because it's super high percentage. But if I were to spend a few days out here, this is stuff that I would for sure spend time on. Especially on these shallower, dirtier, muddier lakes, I like to run my 2D, especially when I'm running. I'm running on my 2D, I see it was just a real subtle little spike where it went from mud to hard and it dropped again right away. So I got off playing, spun around, we found a little patch of rock here out in this mud flat. That's money stuff there. That's stuff that's off the beaten path. I mean, you can see there's nothing on the map to even tell you there to be a rock spot there. That's stuff that 99% of the people that come to this lake are not gonna find. Deep is relative to the body of water you're on. Farm type of lake, you know, natural, dirty water lake with a forage base, a bluegill, perch, and crawfish. Deep, to me, is 6 to 10 foot. So we have deep water right outside of these cattails and pencil reeds here. I have hard bottom out in front of it. I have some old bluegill beds, a little bit of scattered rocks, some gravel. Well, that's something I wouldn't know if I didn't have my graphs on and I wasn't out here side imaging, you know, like I'm willing to bet money that there's bass in that area too. Start out there at that main lake point, throw some hair and see what happens. There's some big ones out there. Start with the bigger one, heavier one. We'll go from there. It's good for bluegill eaters. A lot of crawfish eaters, perch eaters here in Minnesota. I like the watercolor on this lake. There's tons of fish down there, just a lot of fish like activity in general. So people have this huge misconception that I gotta go find this big, massive brush pile. So it doesn't take much to hold a bass. If it can hold it on the bank, it can hold it offshore out in deep water too. We're fishing this high spot here right out of this big mud basin. There's rock right up on the very top of it, and got my 360 here. It's kind of showing me the sweet spots and where I need to be casting and giving me the big picture, you know. Like, we have live technology, but the 360, day in and day out, gives you the big picture, the whole picture of what's going on in front of you. And then your live, I use that for my detailed cast or fish, individual fish, making precise presentations and knowing where my bait is on that presentation. Oh yeah. Oh, that's a giant. Holy cow. That's a good way to start. Oh man, I think he choked that thing. That's awesome. If I can get it out. That's a Northland mullet there. Fishing, we call it farm pond fishing, but it's just a Minnesota dirty water, shallow lake, natural lake. Yeah. Bluegill eaters. Nice big, slow profile, big presentation here. Fishing some isolated rock offshore. First bite of the day, just started. Fishing the Minnesota mullet here. We're fishing relatively shallow rock, I guess you could say, 8 foot. Dirty water, I'm crawling it. I'm crawling it, bumping it along the bottoms. Well, kind of like how you fish a swim bait. It's like right now you can see, yeah, each one of these boulders could hold a fish. So I'm taking my time, making sure I make a few casts here, a couple there, hitting this little pocket of rock, make sure I hit this little vein of rock here. Once I feel like I've covered that, then I'll slide up. You can already see we've got a bigger boulder here already. When they get it, they get it. I mean, you've seen that last fish. It was down his gullet, like they don't mess around. Today I opted to go with the white just because it's so dirty. And we got some cloud cover and some fog, so I wanted them to see it too. But if the sun was high, I would probably opt to go with like a perch color or a bluegill color. Maybe even a crappie, just, you know, just kind of all depends. Crappie to perch to bluegill. They got a jet black one. Your sexy shad colors, I mean, they got it all. They offer 4 different sizes, 3/8, half, 5/8, and 3/4. Typically, I don't like to run anything less than 7.5. You gotta be able to drive that hook home, and you're making long casts. That's why you want that long rod. You want to be able to move a lot of line. The longer, the better. And then as far as a reel goes, 7.3 to 8.1, 20 to 25 pound fluorocarbon. I'm not messing around. I'm not trying to finesse these fish. I mean, they're generally going to catch pretty big fish, so there's no point to go small and light. We were just talking about how it's kind of getting dark and cloudy out here, and I've learned over the years, you know, of fishing, if you get a dark, gloomy, cloudy day like this, for whatever reason, this offshore bite just gets really tough. And I think it has to do with, you know, the visibility and so a lot of times, if it's dark and gloomy and cloudy like this, I'll tend to fish shallow. Caught that one giant. We'll let that sun get up a little bit. Let these clouds burn off and this fog burn off. We're gonna do some flipping up shallow, see if we can't find some big shallow ones here quick and revisit that rock spot a little later when the sun gets up, and that bite should get better. That didn't take long. Didn't take long at all. Right in the schnoz. Flipping some shallow cattails, I guess. Nice healthy fish. One with a punch rig setup, 1 ounce tungsten, 5/0 VMC hook, red line. One with black and blue. We're fishing dirty water. And that's why I want them to see it. You know, to me, punching's a reaction bite. Like, you're getting to react. It's falling fast, it's in their face. Either you gotta eat it or get out of the way. So, if the water was clear, I would opt to go with green pumpkin, but it's pretty dirty, so I wanted black and blue. Keep it pretty simple when I'm flipping like this. I killed my live, I killed my 360. It's all about stealth for me when I get up here shallow like this. I want to be as quiet as possible. I got the Minn Kota Ultrex Quest. This thing is whisper quiet. And when I do catch a fish, a lot of times I'll raptor down and I will pick that area apart to make sure, because usually if you get one like in an area, there's probably a few more around. I absolutely love, I mean, what's not to love about fishing this way? I mean, 7-11, 65 pound braid, 5/0 hook, 1 ounce tungsten. I mean, and just, if you don't like this, I don't know. I don't know if you're a bass fisherman. I mean, this is so much fun. Oh, you dirty dog. I knew that was a fish. I hesitated because I'm worried about flinging a tungsten at you guys. There's one there, right in that corner, just like I said.
You never do a second crack at her.
Yep. Ain't very big. They're healthy in this lake though. They're all built like footballs. You start to do this enough, you start to flip this heavy cover, you can almost call your shots. So you can almost, you know where the fish are gonna be, so you can be super stealthy. Use your raptors, turn your trolling motor down. Just slowly creep up on these fish. Oh, dang it. He's still there. It's a giant. There we go. That's a good one. That's what you get when you get up here and flip in here. God, they're built so good out here, aren't they? They're putting the pieces of the puzzle together today, finally. In a fun way, too. Oh, he's mad. That was a healthy fish. 1 ounce tungsten. Well, first of all, 65 pound braid's a must. 1 ounce tungsten, bobber stop, black and blue punch skirt, 5/0 VMC red line hook. Probably the best flipping hook I have found to date. And then a Missile Baits D-bomb. Flipping, pitching, punching, for me, I keep it super simple. I want either a small, compact, slim profile, or I want a big presentation. What we're doing today is we have dirty water and we're obviously around big fish. So I'm going for a punch skirt setup. I want a jig profile. I want a big profile, big presentation. We're around big ones, you know. That's what we're hunting for today. Oh, come on. Still on there. Arr. Oh, that's a healthy one. Ah, just see that, just eating it funny. Look at that football. Look at what they're eating. You know, we talked about today that we were fishing some bluegill eaters, and I'd say we're right on there. A big bluegill sticking out of its throat. So what I look for when I'm, you know, flipping or punching this heavier cover, it's kind of like the same approach as offshore and stuff like that. Is isolation is key, in my opinion. So you can hear we have an island. This is an island here, so it's isolated off the bank, and we have grass out in front. We have a mixture of a lot of things. We have pads. This looks like some coontail or some milfoil maybe. We have hard bottom. That's a big, huge key is hard bottom. That's probably the biggest key, honestly, with the isolation and hard bottom. We have hard bottom out in front of them, leading out in the deeper water. And then I'll break it down inside of that when I get up. Look for little points, little pockets, little holes, where a patch of pads is inside of the cattail, stuff like that. And I'll break down a bigger area as I start fishing it. That's kind of what I look for. I mean, I would consider this, you know, more or less punching, really heavy flipping. I want a big stick. I don't want a light rod. I mean, this is a 7-11 heavy. I mean, it's a broomstick, you know. It's got a moderate bend. It bends kind of deep into the blank. You got to be able to move that fish. The last thing you want to do is just pull as hard as you can. Like if you pull and they don't come and they get stuck right away, just kind of feed the rod to them. Keep it tight, but feed it to them. Let them swim back and then pull them again. Let them swim until you'll work them right out of there. Eventually they'll come out. See? It's like we said, you got to be able to control that fish, and you pull them right out of there. Don't give them a chance. It ain't gonna come off. You're not gonna lose these fish once you hook up with them, and if they do pin you, feed them line, but keep it tight. You know, they'll never come off, hardly ever. Well, now that the sun's out, I think we're gonna go try back offshore again, throwing the hair around. Maybe those fish positioned up on the rocks a little better now. We obviously got a pretty good shallow bite going, so we know we can come back to that if we want to. Got that pretty dialed in. And there's plenty of this around the lake, so. But I keep thinking about them rocks out there, and our biggest one so far has been offshore, so I think we're gonna try that again now with the sun out. Let's sneak out to this tip here, a couple scatter rocks on the tip. Try them quick. Oh, that's a good one. Oh, there we go. Another good one on the Minnesota mullet. Sun peeked out finally. It was cloudy and foggy this morning. Sun came out. Came back offshore. Got one more big one here on the mullet.